So this is a really great question, but it's actually a very complicated one that's not easy to answer. First, when it comes to these medications, there's a lot of options out there. And depending on which drug you're talking about, the answer would be different. So let's start with the simplest answers. You take some just allergy medicine, like an antihistamine over the counter, Benadryl or similar. Well, each of the antihistamines has a slightly different impact on its effect on sleep. So, a lot of them will put you to sleep in terms of making you feel drowsy. They act as a hypnotic, so you go to bed. But that doesn't mean that the stages of sleep that you go through are the same as when you're unmedicated. And some of them can disrupt both the deep stages of sleep and or the REM cycle of sleep, which could lead to a difference in what you remember or experience in terms of the vividness of your dreams while still being asleep, right? As opposed to inducing, let's say, insomnia. Similarly, if we talk about something like NyQuil, now it gets super complicated because that's a cocktail drug. It's usually got a painkiller like Tylenol. It's got a cough suppressant like a Robitussin. It's got a Sudafed-like drug for your congestion, and that will cause insomnia. But then that's counteracted by both the cough medicine and probably an antihistamine as well, although not Benadryl, usually a related drug. And so each of those drugs can have a different effect on changing your sleep cycle. And when you're taking, two or three different drugs that affect sleep, your individual experience can vary greatly, right? And that's where it gets so complicated to answer. But my expectation would be, based on what we know, is when you're having those vivid dreams, either as a result of the cold sort of keeping you up, let's say you have a cough or congestion and that wakes you up, but then you're being kind of put back to sleep by the drugs, or the impact of the drugs themselves on the sleep cycles. Either way, there's a good chance that when you're sick and taking those meds, your sleep cycles are not going to be the way you'd expect them to be when you're healthy and able to sleep normally. So I hope that begins to answer your question. As always, loving this discussion and appreciate the follow-up.